Bună seara, doamnelor și domnilor, și bun găsit la o nouă ediție a emisiunii Maramuresul azi. În această seară ni se alătură în platoul emisiunii, aici la Sighetu Marmației, ambasadorul Statelor Unite la București, domnul Hans Klemm. Vom purta o discuție de această dată în limba engleză, dar pe care sigur o veți putea citi subtitrată. Așadar, să spunem bun venit și domnului ambasador. Excellency, welcome to Sighetu Marmației and to the TV Sighet.
Well, thank you very much. It's great to be here.
So, how do you find our countryside and this part of Romania?
Tremendously beautiful, the geography. My wife and I, my colleagues from the embassy, drove from Baia Mare to Sighet this morning. It's a beautiful season to be traveling with all the changing colors. And I really feel that I'm visiting truly a traditional, real part of Romania. It's wonderful to be here.
I have several questions, of course, very interesting for our viewers. In the context of increasing discussions over lifting visas for Romanians traveling to Canada, could you tell us when will Romanian citizens be able to travel to US without visas, just as the Hungarian neighbors are doing it, for example?
It's very difficult for me to predict because the visa waiver program to which Hungary is a member, as well as many countries in the European Union, but Romania is not, Poland is not. There are several other members of the European Union that are not yet members of the visa waiver program. It's a matter of law. It's not policy, it's not regulation, it's law. And so in order to change the parameters of the program, our immigration law has to be changed in the United States. This is not impossible. Immigration law has been changed on several occasions over the past 100+ years, but it takes an act of Congress. Immigration, as you know, is a very sensitive topic in the United States. It's arguably the leading topic in the presidential campaign that's taking place in the United States right now. Nevertheless, it is my hope, and was a hope of President Obama, that Congress would take up immigration reform broadly, and as a part of that process, also make changes to the visa waiver program to make it easier for countries like Romania to qualify.
Will the flow of migrants coming to a European country in the last period of time has an impact on the date when US visas will be lifted for Romania?
I don't think so. I think it's important to recognize that the crisis that Europe encountered in 2015 in particular regarding the flow of migrants is just part of a global migrant crisis. At the United Nations last month, President Obama hosted a special summit on migration, and it was global in nature because while yes, Europe faces a distinct crisis as a result of conflict in Syria and in other parts of Africa, but there's also a significant migrant crisis in the Western Hemisphere, also in other parts of Africa, and this requires a global response. The migrant crisis itself is not a significant part of the debate around immigration in the United States. It's really more about securing the borders of the U.S.
A subject which is always brought up in interviews, the missile defense system by the U.S. at Deveselu prompted several critical statements by Russia towards Romania. Some analysts interpreted them as a threat to the national security. The missile defense system at Deveselu and the presence of NATO troops represents 100% guarantee for Romania in the case of an attack by Russia or another state?
The Russian threats were, as you said, very critical of Romania's decision to host the ballistic missile defense site at Devaselu, but they were also entirely inaccurate. The defense, the missile facility in Devaselu is entirely defensive, is not offensive in nature, and furthermore, it's directed towards threats that are coming out of the Middle East and not from Russia. The point of the fact is, and I've said this at least 100 times since arriving in Romania, the facility in Devaselu is not directed at Russia, has no bearing on Russia, and has no either offensive or defensive effect on Russia. That said, Russian aggression in Eastern Europe, just to the north of us in Ukraine, but that in other areas of the Black Sea in the past decade is very worrisome to Romania, to the United States, Romania's ally, and it is because of Russian aggression that we, the United States, as both a bilateral strategic partner of Romania and as a common ally of Romania, are investing in defense and deterrence here in Romania to ensure that the Russian threat is mitigated.
Mr. Ambassador, which are the main issues in Romania that U.S. has an interest on and closely follows these days?
My priorities are threefold. One is to promote security, the security of the United States, but also the security of Romania. And as I just said, we enjoy a tremendous strategic partnership, which includes great military cooperation, cooperation in the law enforcement area, cooperation against terrorism, against the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction, joint efforts to improve cybersecurity, joint efforts to promote energy security, including Romania's contribution to European energy security. Promoting security is a priority of mine. Promoting democracy. We, both Romania and the United States, have embraced a democratic future, democratic values, are working to strengthen our democratic institutions. In this area, the United States has been a very strong proponent of Romania's fight against corruption, which is increasingly credible. But also, we together are interested in other democratic values, such as freedom of press, freedom of religion, respect of minorities, the role of women in society and the economy. So promoting democracy is a priority of mine. And then finally, promoting prosperity. And this gets at the economic relationship between our two countries, working together with your government to promote trade between the United States and Romania, to promote investment between our two countries, and to promote exchanges of scientists, educators, and people from the cultural world. So promoting security, promoting democracy, promoting prosperity.
So in this case, which are the activities through which the U.S. Embassy supports and encourages the American investors to open businesses in Romania? When are we going to see more American investors in Romania?
Actually, it's been a lot of time working on this goal to expand trade between our two countries, expand investment between our two countries. Have a staff at the embassy who works on a daily basis towards this goal, towards increasing American investment in Romania. This is something that we have joint responsibility. Romania must improve the conditions to attract investors into this country, not only from the United States, but from Europe, from Asia, and in fact must ensure that the investment climate is appropriate for Romanian investors, to encourage them to invest in Romania. Over the past 10 months or so, we have worked very closely with the Cholos government as it sought to overhaul, to completely refurbish its agency to promote investment and trade in Romania. And this was a joint effort that I believe has will prove its success over time as Romania takes steps to improve its investment climate, to improve its business environment, including cutting red tape and other steps to make this a more attractive place for American investors.
How do you think that the Brexit vote will affect the U.S. and the European economy?
It's, I think, a very complicated and difficult circumstance that the British voter has created for not only for Britain but also for the European Union and major trading partners of the United Kingdom and of the European Union, like the United States. This will be a very complex process that will unfold over years as Britain seeks to remove itself from the European Union. We have urged Britain, we have urged the European to find a path that creates the least amount of distortion for the European economy, but also for its trading partners such as the United States.
In your personal opinion, do you think it will be exactly an effect for our economy, for example, for Romania?
It could, depending on the conditions that Britain will require as it seeks to leave the European Union. It could lead to decisions by investors, manufacturing companies, financial service companies to no longer locate their facilities, their operations in Britain, and they can choose other European Union members to locate those operations, such as Romania. That's certainly a possibility.
What's your opinion on the respect of the minority rights in Romania, being them ethnic, sexual, or racial? Where do you see an improvement of them? In Baia Mare, we know we have seen a wall erected to protect the ethnic Roma citizens in the area, as claimed by the authorities.
Yeah, as I mentioned, this is one of my priority areas to promote democracy, to promote the full integration of and respect of minorities. This is difficult. It's difficult for the United States as it is for Romania. It's hard work. America, we like to call ourselves a melting pot, but in order to absorb waves of immigrants from all over the world, takes a great deal of effort and requires generosity of spirit, it requires tolerance, it requires understanding. And these are obligations now of all democracies, including Romania.
In your opinion, how developed is the civil society in Romania, and what do you think about this activity?
I'm very encouraged by the development and strengthening of civil society in Romania. When we consider that just 26 years ago, the communist regime was still in power in Romania, and there was no civil society to speak of. No non-governmental organizations were even permitted, were allowed to exist. Given the shortness of Romania's democratic experience, the growth and strength of civil society is actually remarkable. The United States very much supports that. We still have activities to encourage the strengthening of civil society, of social organizations, of non-governmental organizations, particularly through the Romanian American Foundation. I try to meet with those partners as often as I can, as well as meeting interested civil society organizations and their members throughout Romania.
Are there enough organizations to have a strong social civil society?
I'm not sure if it's a matter of quantity. It's probably more a matter of quality of the the strength of the civil society organizations that exist. I'm asked occasionally by American observers of Romania whether Romania's embrace of the rule of law and its fight against corruption will it be resilient? Will it be long-standing? Can it be rolled back? Can it be reversed? And my response is that my view is that the institutions of justice in Romania and the strength that they receive from civil society here in Romania leads me to believe that justice and the rule of law is firmly established in Romania, is resilient, and will resist any effort to roll back or reverse the progress that's been made.
So, in this case, how do you comment the appeal by the Senate's President, Călin Popescu-Tăriceanu, to lawmakers to no longer approve the DNA's request for investigating politicians and to refuse lifting their immunity?
I found it very disappointing. My embassy has repeatedly said over the years that our strong belief that in a democracy that has embraced the rule of law, that all members of Romanian society, all Romanians, are equal before the law, including members of parliament. And we would urge that when a request is made to lift immunity so that a member of parliament can face justice, that immunity be lifted.
So do you think that the political class is somehow influencing DNA's activity, or what do you think about Laura Codruța-Kövesi's mandated DNA?
The National Directorate for Anti-Corruption in Romania is becoming a model for other countries in the region. That is due to its success, to the very and increasingly credible record that it's accrued in terms of its ability to prosecute people who have stolen from Romanians, who have stolen from the Romanian government, who have stolen from the Romanian state, and bring those people to justice. Now, the fact is that many of those who have been prosecuted and convicted and sent to prison are very powerful people, and they are striking back at the DNA, at Madam Kövesi in any way they can.
So, what do you think about the current technocrat government and about the platform he recently launched?
I think the platform could be possibly a very important contribution to the campaign for the national parliament that will take place, or that will begin very soon. I think on November 11th, and then the election will take place on December 11th. The Cioloș government, in my experience, has been one of integrity and one of competence. Given the very limited mandate that Prime Minister Cioloș had, both in terms of time and in terms of political support, he and his government has accomplished a great deal. And the United States recognizes him for his accomplishments.
Do you think a technocrat government is good for a country for a limited period of time?
I think history has shown that the record is mixed. I know Italy not too long ago had a technocratic government, and I think many observers question its record of success. In the case of Romania, it remains to be seen how history will judge the year after November 2015, during which this technocratic government, this experiment, was able to run, to see how what contribution it made to the long-term development of Romania as a society and as an economy. But again, given their limited mandate, but then also the very sometimes ambitious goals that the government set for itself, deepening Romania's role in the European Union, undertaking administrative reform, putting Romania on a sustained path of economic development, and measured against those ambitions, the very positive steps they've taken. Again, I think the Ciolo's government should be recognized for its competence and its integrity.
So finally, I will not address the question about the US elections because you are in the role of the ambassador, but I believe it's important to hear your opinion on what are the things that Romanian citizens should take into account when they will go to vote on December 11 for the general elections. What type of politicians should they trust?
Well, first, the important thing that I would like to encourage all Romanian voters to do is to actually vote on December 11th. Romanians, like Americans, they have both a right and a privilege given to them by their constitutions to exercise judgment occasionally about how well their politicians and their governments are doing. The U.S. will vote on November 8th for a new president, and Romania will vote on December 11th for a new national parliament, which will then form a new government. And so it's very important for all Romanian voters to actually exercise their right and cast a vote on December 11th. I'd like to say that to begin with. And then I would encourage all Romanians, as I would encourage all Americans, to vote for individuals, again, of integrity, and with either the experience or the aptitude that are likely to make them competent managers of their country's future. Romania has a choice in front of it to elect a government again that will be competent, that will be able to continue to support Romania's economic development, its social development, its deepening within Europe, its contribution to international society in terms of both security, but then also to strengthen the democratic principles and institutions upon which both Romania and the European Union operate. That's the choice in front of Romania in December, whether the next government will be one of integrity and competence.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador, for this interview. Just a last question. What's the memory you take back to Bucharest from Maramureș County?
Well, we'll see. I still have another day to enjoy in Maramureș, but certainly my first impression is very, very positive. We only spent an evening in Baia Mare, and so my wife and I want to return as soon as possible to explore that city a little bit more carefully. Certainly the generosity and hospitality of the people of Maramureș will remain in our memory, but then also, again, the tremendous beauty of this part of Romania.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Doamnelor și domnilor, aceasta a fost ediția de astăzi a emisiunii Maramureșul azi. Vă mulțumesc foarte mult pentru atenție. Rămâneți cu programele TV Sighet. O seară frumoasă în continuare. La revedere!